Here we go, Barflies. Welcome to the Barfly Tailgate Show. You already know it's done by Barflies, for Barflies, and all the other Bears fans out there. As you can see, we're short-handed this morning, but the show must go on. So we got the AC show and my boy C-Dub coming in. Happy birthday, first and foremost, to Chris Watts. Give him some love down in the chat. What's going on, brother? How was your week? What's up?
Yeah, man. Yeah, thanks for the happy birthday, man. I can't believe I actually got to 49. I'm one of these people, like, when you look at your messages on Facebook, I always get the message of, I can't believe he's still alive. So I'm sort of impressed with myself. But yeah, just the usual week, mate, ducking and diving. I'm pissed off about the Packers result. It took me a couple of days to get over that. But yeah, I'm good, mate, and I'm definitely looking for the Bears to bounce back and get to Texans this afternoon.
Yeah, I agree, man. It was definitely a tough one last Sunday. I stayed up and watched the whole game. The Bears, they had it there for the taking, at least to cover. You know what I mean? And it's just so disheartening to be so close yet so far away. But as I reflected back, I was like, we're in year one of a rebuild, really. And we were 10 points away from the Packers. Let's not beat around the damn bush. That was a damn touchdown that they took off the board.
Too right.
Right. So that, and I know Dan Weeder was on the score the next day, and he was like, the Bears lost by 17. That touchdown didn't even matter. And I was like, nah, dude, it definitely mattered because that A, made it a one touchdown game in the fourth quarter. And B, I feel like after they took that touchdown off the board, the defense was like, the fuck you want us to do, man? Like, we're clearly in this against we're against it. You know what I'm saying? We were playing the Packers and the refs, which is nothing new, but it just sucks to be in that position. You know what I mean?
Oh, totally, AC. I mean, that's exactly how I felt, especially when we didn't get that touchdown at the end. I thought that could just swing it to our direction, give us a bit of momentum. But we always seem to get them calls against us when we're playing Green Bay, especially at Lambeau Field. So I wasn't surprised we didn't get the touchdown calls. But I think if we'd have done, I think it would have made the game a lot closer at the end. And I think the defense would have dug in it because we were getting run over ridiculously by the Green Bay Packers. So I was just hoping if we're going to got that touchdown, then maybe the defense would have strengthened up a bit against the run. And then, hopefully we might try and throw the ball a bit. I mean, I just feel like, they've got to unleash Fields a bit. They've got to let him just go for it a little bit. I mean, how many passes did he have? About 11 or 17? He had a low number of passes. And he just got to give the kid unleash him a bit. And because to me, I think, I know they want to play, which Aldo brought up through the week, where one of our receivers are wide open, just went straight down the field, he was wide open, and Fields looked like he did see him, but then he checked down. So I don't know if that's Fields personally doing that, or he's been told by the coaches of, take the safer option, because that would a clear touchdown. I can't remember which receiver it was, it might have been St. Brown. But yeah, it was just, I know as well, it sort of showed, like you said, like we're in a rebuild, it showed the difference in talent level between us and the Packers at the moment. But yeah, I think the offense really was, apart from that first drive, I think he got the yips, AC. I really do. I think the AC got nervous, and he would just want building up the players like he were doing in the previous game. So overall, I was very disappointed by the offense, and I think the defense, man. I bet they've had some tackling practice this week because my grandma could tackle better than them, and she's dead.
Yeah, Aaron Jones kind of came out and had a field day against us, and
oh yeah,
that was disheartening for sure. I know a lot of people talk about the 11 passes. We had 41 total plays, which is a low amount anyway. I think the league average is, I heard them talking on Draft Dudes. Right, it's in the 60s. So we were running 20 less plays than the average of the league. And technically, I guess 19 of them were actual passing calls, but you have sacks in there and scrambles, and the time Justin Fields tried to throw the ball when he was past the line of scrimmage, that drove me nuts. I was like, how do you not have enough awareness to know you're past the line of scrimmage, man?
I completely agree, because he had the complete field open in front of him as well. So it looked like, he had like a defender coming in his face, and he couldn't sort of figure out where he was on the pitch. And I was thinking, I can't believe this dude's just done that. Come on, Justin, come on.
Yeah. I feel like they had kind of had him on the ropes, man. He was kind of trying to push it and try to almost do too much himself. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense. He didn't. I almost feel like he didn't want to play within the offense. He wanted to just go out there and be the hero. And I don't know if he did that a lot at Ohio State or if that's like a thing from last year where he really felt like he had to do it all. I have no idea. But, I heard Hogan Johns and CHGO, they talked about that Equinemius St. Brown play as well, where they could see up in the press box he was running wide open. I don't know how. They said that there's a possibility that there was, like, from Justin Fields' point of view, there was a safety there, it looked like, maybe, or something. He was kind of covered up. But I don't know, man. You got to make those plays. And I really think the Packers kind of had him rattled. That environment, I mean, the Packers fans they were crazy in the stadium. They were definitely ready for a home opener, And
definitely.
I mean, we talked about it all offseason that we needed a big 3 technique. That's supposed to help with stopping that running game. But I felt like they were able to attack the edges really well. You know what I'm saying? They were just hitting their blocks, and some of it might have been holding. I don't know, but they were. I mean, and like we said earlier, I think it just really showed the difference of where they're at compared to where we're at. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Whereas we got rid of a lot of guys with big contracts, and those big contracts were leaders on this team. You know what I'm saying? So we're definitely in a rebuild. Shout out to Badge, man. Thanks. I'm taking care of this beard.
Man, you could lose things in your beard.
Hey, it's a playoff beard at this point. My Kentucky Wildcats are undefeated, so we're
right. So you're not shaving it until like after the season or something. You'd be like down to here or something. You'd be like some sort of Santa Claus dude.
I haven't decided yet. I'm not able to shave it all off because my wife would kill me and divorce me, and I'd sleep on the couch. But I could probably.
Right. So she likes the beard then, because a lot of women I know don't like the beards. So she likes the beard. So you.
Yeah. So when I was in the Army, I wasn't able to have a beard, and then I came home and I worked at 84 Lumber, which is just a little lumber company, and they wouldn't let me have a beard for some fucking reason. And then when I started working at Toyota, I started growing it just I thought I liked the way it looked. Obviously, I thought it looked good. And she says I can't get rid of it now, so she's a big fan of it.
That's cool. Well, I thought all you Southern gentlemen had beards anyway. I thought with the Southern Kentucky look anyway.
Maybe some of them redneck boys with the rocking the overalls, just one side strapped up. I can picture that. But,
like Uncle Owen off the Dukes of Hazzard.
Sure, I don't know. I'm a little young for that, Chris. But
well, sorry, mate. Sorry, I keep forgetting how old I am. So sorry about that, AC.
It's all good, brother. It's all good. But we'll go ahead and before we move on from this game, because I really just want to put it in the rear view. Honestly, we'll hit this and let you talk about it.
Piss off, you grotty little wanker!
Shut up, you soppy wanker!
Wanker! You're a wanker! Wanker!
Stop being a wanker.
You are a wanker, Andy Marr. And I'll be honest, I didn't know that was coming, but I'll say it again, you are a wanker.
This is Chris Watts's Wanker of the Week.
So this segment is something that we started this year. I thought it was something to help have Chris Watts have something to bring his little bit of seasoning to the show. Every week, Chris Watts is going to tell us who dropped the ball, who's fucking up. And Chris Watts, who was your wanker of the week this week?
Well, it's probably an obvious choice, but it's Luke Getsby. And basically, the main reason is obviously that goal line call he made was just absolutely terrible. But also as well, it was his overall play calling throughout the game. You know, we started off on fire on that first drive and we scored, but after that, he just seemed to get nervous. And I think the game got to him a little bit, and I don't think he was sticking to his game plan. And it was great that we started running the ball, but it was just too late in the game for that to be the be-all and end-all. So, I can't believe that you had a guard pulling on the goal line where you're only, a foot away. You got Justin Fields, who's a big guy. Even, get a running back line up behind him and push him like a lot of teams do. So yeah, wanker of the week is the offensive coordinator, Luke Getsy. I hate calling coaches out, but that sucked. That call sucked, mate. So let's hope he has a better game this week. I think he will do. But yeah, that sucks, and he's definitely my wanker of the week.
I agree absolutely, man. That like I told you before we got on, Kentucky had like 3 or 4 3rd-and-1s last night, and they just lined up, put Levis under center, and pushed the ball forward. Get your first down, man, and move on. I mean, I don't know why they offensive coordinators. I don't know if it was the trying to outsmart his former head coach or the moment got to him or what it was, but sometimes you don't have to try and be the smartest man in the room. You just have to keep it simple and do what works. And that's worked for as long as I can remember. How many times Tom Brady, all of his rushing touchdowns are from that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and he's half the athlete what Justin Fields is as well, you know what I mean? So it was just sort of like you said earlier, AC, before the show, but like you just illustrated now, that I think he just got a little bit too cute. I really do. I think he was getting too cute with the play call, and it gave me them echoes of Nagy as well, because that's what Nagy would have done. And I just kept thinking, man, is Nagy is he sort of got into this guy's head somehow? I don't know, but yeah, I think he was just trying to be too clever. All you needed to do smash mouth football, get the guy over the line, and fuck it.
Yeah, for sure. I like what J-Rock said here, that Getsy only had 40 play calls because the defense couldn't get off the field. I agree completely with what J-Rock said. The defense couldn't stop anything that the Packers were trying. Actually, most of the Packers stops were done to themselves. You know what I mean? They'd have a botched snap or crazily, Aaron Rodgers early in the game was missing some players on throws. He did find a way to find who was that damn receiver? He's been a bust everywhere else. Sammy Watkins. He found him deep. Yes. That was really the nail in the coffin. But Sammy Watkins goes on IR this week. So it was one of those, he shows up for the Bears game and then he's out. I don't know if it's one of those 4-week IRs or out the rest of the year. I haven't looked into it, but that shit was crazy.
No. It's just I think we all got a little bit carried away after the 49ers win. Looking back in hindsight, and obviously because it was such a weird game, the 49ers game, with the rain and the pitch conditions and all that sort of thing. But at least we didn't get embarrassed. You know what I mean? At least it wasn't, something like 35-9 or 10 or whatever. Like you said earlier, at least if we'd have got that touchdown given, we would have already been a touchdown behind or whatever. We would have still been in the game competitively. So, like I say, I think it showed where the Bears are at the moment. And we all, even though we love the Bears, we all know that we're not going to go to the Super Bowl this year. We're probably not. Making the playoffs would be a real big thing. So, I think really that's probably the level of performance really we should be expected.
Yeah, Yeah, we don't expect a Super Bowl, but we definitely have to evaluate who's good on this team and who we have to. That'll help us look at draft strategy. I've looked at. I mean, I know the quarterback class just because my guy Levis is pretty high up on it. Mel Kiper came out with his early big board this week, and Levis was number 4 on it, which was awesome to see.
That's awesome.
Right, but as far as like we have to look at wide receivers, O-line, D-line, what kind of stuff we're looking at, but that'll be moving forward. Speaking of moving forward, former Chicago Bears head coach is coming back to town this week. Lovie Smith, bringing his Houston Texans, which I was surprised when they hired Lovie as the head coach, not because he just hasn't looked good since he left Chicago. He went to Tampa Bay, and that didn't work out. Then he tried college. He didn't want to be a recruiter, which you can't be a college coach and not recruit players. They said he wouldn't even go into Chicago and recruit players into Illinois, which was, first, you're a legend in Chicago. You took that team to the Super Bowl. And secondly, that's your biggest talent pool for Illinois, in my opinion. So I don't know what happened there. And then he went down to Houston. He was their DC last year, and that defense was playing hard for him at the end of the year last year. And I think that had a lot to do with them hiring him as head coach. It just – a lot of people are saying this week it's kind of like the Spider-Man meme where they're pointing at each other and they're the same thing. That's kind of what the Bears and Texans are going to be doing today. So I'm not really sure. I mean, the way we ran the ball I know a lot of people want it to open up and they want to see Fields grip it, and rip it. You know what I'm saying? But, man, and I'd love to see that too. You know, I love Fields. I got his jersey. My son's got his jersey. So he's the guy I wanted in the draft. So I want nothing more than for him to succeed. But, I mean, if you can run the ball, dude, I think Montgomery's going to have another big game. They run the same type of defense as we do, and maybe we learned a thing or two from the Packers game of how to exploit this defense, which you would think Eberflus would know how to anyway. But do you have any major thoughts on the game, first off?
I mean, I'm just hoping that because the teams are quite similar defensive wise, that it don't cancel each offensive out. Because I prefer watching a good offensive game. That's I always played on the offensive side of the ball. But I think really if we can get the ball running, then surely we can get Justin Fields throwing some nice balls from a play action pass. Because they didn't really do any play action passes much in the second half, which I was quite surprised last week because obviously we were getting so much of the running game going. But I just think as well, if we can get pressure on their quarterback, I know he's a third rounder. I know he's not the most athletic. Yeah, I know he's not the most athletic guy.
Right.
So hopefully we can put pressure on him and make him scramble. Make him be off target. I mean I watched Jordan's show yesterday. He does seem to have a bit of a problem with targeting guys. So hopefully, the D can get a bit of pressure. I really want to see Robert Quinn start getting some sacks, man. I mean, I don't know if he's got a solo sack yet, has he?
Did he not get one on Rodgers last week?
I'm not sure, mate. I'm really not sure. We did do, yeah. I mean, we seem to do a lot earlier, and we just petered out after like the second or third drive on offense and defense.
Well, I think you have to play, what's the word I'm looking for? Complementary football, where when you're going 3 and out, and we went 3 and out like 3 drives in a row, that puts your defense on the field a lot, puts them in difficult situations, and it gives Aaron Rodgers another chance to continue to assess what our defense looks like and how to attack it. And it seems like once they found out, they don't have an answer for Aaron Jones, they just kind of stuck with that. And then even their big pass plays came off play action. Just like you said, I was expecting a lot more play action out of us. Once we started running the ball well, you you would think that would suck in some of those defenders and you can get behind them. I know we got behind them one time and Justin overthrew Mooney. We can't have that, man. You got to at least give your wide receiver a chance. He was back there on the one-on-one coverage. That was another disheartening play, to say the least. But this Texans team is a lot different than that Packers team in that there's not a ton of talent over there. They drafted Derek Stingley in the first round this year, and I haven't looked up the numbers, but everything that I've heard is he's been struggling, to say the least. And you're going to get that with a young corner. Your hope is that they'll learn from those mistakes, like we saw with Kyler Gordon last week. He got lit up. Right. Yeah. So you just got to hope that these young guys will learn from those mistakes, go over the tape, and realize what they did wrong and how to fix it.
I mean, what's your assessment of Mooney so far? I mean, to me, he's been a non-existent factor really since the first week. I mean, I've never really rated him as a number one receiver. I think he's a higher number two, but he's just seemed to be a non-factor at all this year so far.
Well, I thought he would go in this year and prove that he could be the number one receiver. Size-wise, he compares to Stephon Diggs. I don't think he'll ever be on Stephon Diggs' level, but some of that has to do with scheme. And numbers-wise, last year he compared to Terry McLaurin, and those are both number one receivers that I feel like is attainable for Mooney. I don't know if he'll ever be the Jamar Chases or Julio Jones back in the day type player, but I expected a lot more than I think he's got 2 catches for 4 yards so far this season. I expected a lot more than that. I know that.
Yeah, I do. I mean, I do remember last season that he did drop quite a few passes as well. I don't know. I always sort of picture a number one wide receiver as a bit of a bigger body sort of guy. Like a bit like a Jerry Rice, going back in the day, like a tall guy who's sort of got it all, speed and the physique as well. And I just think Mooney's just a bit small, but then again, I shouldn't take it away from the short guys. I'm only 5'9", so what I mean. We've all got to stay together. And also as well, I'm just remembering you put 4,000 clovers up, and you're on about a bar fight. I am really good in a bar fight. I just go straight for the bollocks because no man can run without the bollocks. And also, and if needed be, I will bite as well if it gets that desperate. But I haven't been in a bar fight for many years. I must stress that. I am now a middle-aged man. I'm going back to my 20s where, I never started a fight, but I'd never back away from one. And I did end up getting my ribs broken once and helping a mate out in a fight in a bar. So I will be there. I'm always good backup, mate. I'm always good backup for about 5 minutes until the tide turns.
Yeah, I always tell I'm a lover, not a fighter. I've literally never been in a fight in my entire life. Even like in high school, even like in high school and middle school when guys were like fighting in the hallways in school, I was never. I just needed
that energy down. Away from me. I don't know. No, that's good, man. You don't need. It's all negative energy. I mean, I'm not a fighter. I've never gone out to look for a fight in my life. But if the shit hit the fan, I ain't gonna back down, especially if it comes to helping a mate out. So 4,000 clovers. If you ever need anybody, I'll pop over there and give you an hand.
Hey, I'm gonna need you to pop over here and come to a Kentucky game next year, bro. They released the schedule.
Well, what I'm thinking is, sorry, Essie. What I'm thinking is, it's my 50th birthday next year. So if I can get my arse into gear, then I want to try and do some sort of North American tour where literally I'm just going to come round to like everybody's houses on the network and visit you, and we'll go to a game. So that's the idea for my 50th next year. But yeah, I'd love to go over. I'd love to go over, man, and have a nice grill and a barbecue with you, mate, and have a few cold ones and all that bit of southern hospitality. So yeah, hopefully next year that it'll happen, mate, and I'll be there.
Yeah, I mean, I got it. Renewable, rechargeable, and review had this comment. Looking forward to rooks at linebacker. Sanborn and Weatherford look at all decent. It could save us $20 at linebacker. I think $20 million is what he meant. But I think Roquan's playing. He has been hobbled with a hip injury all week, but I think I saw Ian Rappaport tweet out this morning that he expects Roquan to play.
Right.
He kind of got blown up last week.
He was shocking last week.
They seemed to be attacking him. He seemed out of position, and people are calling him Slowquan. Like he's lost a step. I don't know if that's from the hold in or learning a new position or a combination of both.
I think it's a combination, mate.
Yeah. And I mean, for a guy who's betting on himself, you know what I'm saying? He's got to be able to step up and play. I mean, if you want the 20 to 22 million that you're asking for, you want to be paid like the upper echelon of linebackers. You've got to prove that. And I got a friend of mine who he's not even a Bears fan. He just kind of watches from afar. And he asked me about the situation. Like, do you think Roquan should get paid? And I was like, no, I don't. And here's why. You're probably the best weak side linebacker in the league is Darius Leonard or Shaquille Leonard in Indiana. And he got drafted in the second round out of a small school. And the other one is Fred Warner, who I think was like a 4th or 5th round draft pick in San Francisco. So these GMs see that they can find these guys later in the draft. They're not like, it's like pay a guy $22 million or try and draft a guy and coach him up to be as good or close to it for a much better price tag. You know what I'm saying? I love Roquan. Like I said, I was looking for jerseys to buy this year. I need a new blue one. But I just don't know if what he's asking is too much or I mean,
do you think AC that it could be down to the scheme what they're running? That is strengths that really fit in the scheme what they brought in this year.
That could be part of it. I'm not sure. I mean, the Pittsburgh Steelers drafted their middle linebacker in the first round, and he's not looking so hot either. So, right. I mean, if you're not a fan of Roquan or he's not showing you what you want to see, I don't know if he could be a trade deadline target for a place like Pittsburgh, or there was rumors about Dallas whenever his whole hold-in happened. I hate to see it because I love Roquan, and I think he's a great player. I loved him at Georgia. I loved him in the draft process. I love that he's the guy that we drafted. I don't know if I'd want to, A, pay him that, and B, maybe Poles is looking at it as the headache is the juice worth the squeeze, for lack of a better term. You know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't have an agent, so he's in there by himself trying to do these negotiations, and things are said during these negotiations that you don't want the player to hear. But if the player's bringing himself to the table, there's no choice but for him to hear it. And I just don't know. I really don't know.
I think really he didn't help himself in the offseason at all. Like regarding many things you just said, AC, but you imagine that you imagine her going in and then like talking about your contract to the GM, and obviously it's going to get personal because it's all about you as the player and your strengths and weaknesses. So like we've all got egos to a certain point. So if you imagine they're going, well, we think you're this level or a pay, or we think you can do this really well, and you're thinking, well, I thought I was really good at that, and I think I'm better than him, so I think I should get more money. So I don't think he helped himself at all, really, and I think I'm just hoping that him missing the pre-season, the off-season training, and that's why he's a little bit behind because he's just a little bit rusty.
Right, especially when you're trying to learn a new position altogether. I mean, it's a completely different defense. This and Jalen Johnson even said, he's our leader on defense. He's our guy, and it's just it's just difficult, man, to sit out and not be callous, to take a term from Matt Nagy when he would talk about the guys getting callous. He's not callous. He's not in. I don't want to say he's not in shape. Patrick Manley said on 670 The Score on Monday that he feels like he's 10 to 15 pounds heavier than he was last year, and I don't know if there's if there's any truth to that rumor or not. But he's just. I mean, he's got to get it together. Now, if we see like week 4, week 5 or so, he starts to get it together and starts playing like the Roquan we all know and love and expected out of him, then maybe he'll have an argument. But even with that, maybe that gives general manager an argument of saying, see, this is why we look at your early season. This is why we weren't willing to pay you to be as the best linebacker in the league, because you're not. I don't know.
I mean, he has put an. Sorry, I mean, he has put an incredible amount of extra pressure on himself by what he did in the off season, and I think that's put added pressure. Maybe he's thinking too much. He's just not reacting like he should do. But I mean, I'm hoping that it's because he didn't get the off season training, that he's just a little bit. He's in shape, but not football shape. If that makes any sense, because there's a lot. We all know there's a lot of different. Yeah, there's a lot of difference. Practice and then what it's like in a live game in any sport. So it might be like, game's just a bit quick. He's had to change, the change to defense, and obviously he had all the practices. So I'm just hoping, like you said, hopefully, but in the next, couple of games that we see the old Roquan Smith back.
Yeah, that'd definitely be great. So going into this game, the Houston Texans. They rely a lot on Dameon Pierce, their running back that they drafted, and there was huge hype for this guy fantasy-wise. This is going to be the dude. It's going to be Lovie's bell cow. He doesn't run exactly like Aaron Jones, as far as the speed and getting to the edge and stuff, but he's a physical runner who will put his head down and grind for those extra yards. And if these defenders are not ready and not putting a hat on him, we're going to be in a world of hurt again. Do you think we'll be able to stop the run better this year? Now, they got Rex Burkhead as well, who's more of a receiving back.
Yeah, I mean that the run defense really, really worries me, because I think we're rated as one of the worst in the league, and that's not the Chicago Bears football to me. We should be that. A part of being the Bears is that we stop the run. We've got an intimidating defense. It worries me a lot, especially after last week. Our Green Bay Packers, their running backs just ran right over us to the point where it was getting embarrassing. But yeah, I think it's a difficult one to say it, because I just don't want it to happen. I don't want to go, well, it's going to do really well, but hopefully they've learned from last week, and the coaches have got it into their heads that you got to tackle better, you got to keeping your lanes and keeping your gaps. So I'm hoping for the best, mate. It's about as best as I can think of, really.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough to decide, because even the 49ers put up, I think, 180 rushing yards on us, and then of course the Packers did what they did. And that's kind of been the Achilles heel of this defense, even when Lovie was running it, as far as not being able to stop the run and hoping your team makes a mistake that's going to put them behind the chains that you can take advantage of. And the Packers gave us that chance early in the game last week. We just weren't able to capitalize whenever we got the ball back. Again, we had 3 and outs. You had players running open, and Justin just wouldn't pull the trigger for whatever reason, or I have no idea.
It's like I said.
Go ahead.
Sorry, AC, go on. Right. No, I would just say, like I said before, I don't know if it were Justin Fields himself making them decisions, or the coaches have been telling him to play conservative and just take the smaller throws for less yardage. But I really think, I just want to see him let the kid rip a bit. Just let him have a go. Do you know what I mean? Because he never got that chance with Nagy. And I'm not saying make him throw like 50 odd passes in a game, but he is such a talent physically that just let him rip a bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it almost feels weird because years with Nagy, we were always like, we need to run the ball more, and now this new regime, we're like, we need to throw the ball more. I think the game plan today will be run Montgomery and run some play action off of him.
Yeah.
And speaking of play actions and audibles, I'm going to bring in my guy here. He's coming in to help me save the AC show, the one and only John Santucci, a.k.a. The Tooch. What's up, Tooch? What's going on, brother?
Good morning, everybody, on this Bears Sunday. Hello, Christopher and AC and all the Barflies. We got Lovie Smith coming back, and looking at this game from a handicapping point of view rather than as a fan, I'm looking at two teams that are the worst among the bottom three in rushing yards per game allowed. Bears sit at the bottom, 189.5 yards per game rushing, which, can you believe that? Almost 200 yards a game rushing. And then the Texans are almost there. The Titans are next, and then the Texans 163 yards per game. So if the Bears want to get things going, they're going to have to do it on the ground with Dave Montgomery. If I were to wager on this game, the over and under set at 39. And normally in an NFL football game, I wouldn't I don't enjoy taking totals of 39 points AC in an NFL game. But I'd have to lean under it. And man, the clock's going to be running. Both teams going to try to run the ball. There's probably not going to be a lot of passing with either of these quarterbacks. And as far as a team total offense, boy, I tell you, again, you're looking at the two of the worst teams in total offense per game. The Bears sit at 216 yards per game. Then it's the Seahawks, one team that I predicted would probably be the worst team in the NFL, fighting for the number one draft pick. And then the Houston Texans, they're right there at only averaging about 266 yards per game. So Bears 216 yards per game, and we got to get better. We have to get better, AC. This isn't going to do it. I mean, I like Luke Getsy and stuff, but I don't know what it is, but if this is the time to get right, it's got to be now. I don't like this game. I wouldn't bet the side. If anything, I would tease the Texans up to 9. I think the Texans can keep this ball game within 9, tease it up with another team like the Jets or the Panthers. But do I think the Bears have a good chance of winning this game? Yeah, we're at home. We got to run the ball. I like David Montgomery over 69.5 yards. I would bet on that. I think he'll easily go over that. Damian Pierce will probably get his yardage too on the other side of the ball. But all comes down to Fields again. He's got to make the plays that win this game. We're going to run the ball. Whichever quarterback makes one more throw, makes one more touchdown pass, that's the team that's going to win.
I agree. And just like you said, lean on the run, run some play action off of it. And they've got young pieces in their secondary in Houston. I mean, we do too, but in Houston, they've got Stingley at corner, who's been questionable on the edge of how good or how bad he is. And remember, that's a guy who didn't play the last a season and a half at LSU. So they were kind of going off his freshman year at LSU. So he's a kid that you can take advantage of, especially this might be a game for Mooney to get his numbers up if they use him. But yeah, I look for them to run the ball and run play action off of it.
Absolutely.
I've been really disappointed in Mooney and Komet's production this year. I thought Komet was going to have a breakout year this year.
So did I.
He's still fighting the ball, man. Like the ball hits him right in the numbers, and he just can't bring it in, man. And I know a lot of Bears fans want to see him succeed because he went to Notre Dame. He plays a premium position. He's a hometown kid, grew up a Bears fan. So he's got all these things going for him. And it just doesn't look good to me. I didn't even have high hopes for him. Like I wanted him to be like I think Aldo says it a lot, Rudolph that used to play for the Vikings years.
Vikings, yeah.
Yeah, I don't even expect him to be a Kelsey or a Kittle or a Waller type guy because he's just not built like that. But he could easily be a Rudolph type player. That might be a ceiling, but man, it just does not look promising so far.
Yeah, this game has the look of a 16-13 game to me.
I agree.
You know, a lot of field goals.
Is the spread still 2.5? It was.
It's Texans plus 2.5. Yeah. As I sit here, I looked at it this morning. I mean, Justin Fields had made some plays the first week, you know, and arrow was pointing up, but we seemed to forget that, you know, the 49ers couldn't do much in that rain.
Right.
We got a break there, and then came back down to earth with the Packers, who were getting their ship right. And man, this is not a game I would look to bet on if I were betting or if I were taking prop bets. I mean, if you want to look at a game that's for fantasy or prop, you're looking at the Bills and Dolphins today, man. That game could have 80 points scored in it, but you know the entire Bills secondary is out. You know, the Dolphins are banged up too. They've got a lot of speed, AC. They've got a lot of speed, man.
Yeah.
That's you know the Ravens had the Dolphins locked up. You know, finally the Dolphins in, you know, second half said, let's just let our fast guys run and see if you can catch up to them. And we'll throw the ball down there. And the Ravens could not catch up with them, man. They couldn't stay with any of that speed. But the Bears, you know, we don't have that kind of speed. You know, Velus Jones hasn't even seen the field. He's supposed to be the field stretcher. Like you said, Cole Kmet has not gotten going. I don't think he has a catch this season. Mooney, for whatever reason, Justin Fields has got to make his reads faster. He's got to process quicker. Among the bottom of the league and time before the snap and release of the ball. But do I think Fields is a bust? Certainly not. I mean, there's a lot of potential there.
I was just going to ask you about I was just going to ask you what's your assessment of Fields so far this year.
He's playing like a rookie because he didn't get a rookie season. This is his rookie season. So I mean, he's got to learn. It's a new coaching staff. It's a new playbook. You know, this is more of a timing offense than he's used to than what he played in at Ohio State. And then last year, you know, the coaching staff didn't do him any favors. So if we want to win against the Texans, Lovie's going to bring defense. His defense travels well. If we want to win against the Texans, we've got to get Fields rolling out where he can make plays with his legs. We get a broken play, someone slips past the defense, and we got to pound the ball with Montgomery, and they're going to pound the ball with Dameon Pierce. It's going to be a lot of running. Like I said, 39 points is a low total, AC. I don't see how they get to 40.
Right. Well, with your unders, I know you've told me all year that Iowa is a under machine. Did they hit again yesterday?
That was a loser, but I'll tell you, I capped it right. It's just that Iowa defense had two touchdowns.
So the defense scored.
The defense scored. You know, I mean, in a game with a total of 33 points, Rutgers plus 8.5 was just too. It was too mouthwatering for me to lay off of because by all rights, that game should have been 10-3. You know, with the 8.5, I'm winning 11.5 to 10. But those two defensive touchdowns, it was out of reach by that point. Game slide over the total. But, you know, there'll be plenty of Iowa Hawkeyes unders in the future. But, you know, the Hawkeyes, they score on defense. You know, they don't put any points up offensively. So, but, you know, I'll be it's still not a great team. The Hawkeyes are number 2 in the country in adjusted defensive value. So, I mean, that tells you something. They have a freaking good defense, but they cannot score points on offense.
Yeah, my Kentucky Wildcats have a pretty good defense too, but yesterday they definitely had me sweating it out.
Right, that was Northern Illinois. Was that Northern the Huskies?
Yeah, we got up big. I think it was 31-17 at one point with like 8 minutes left, and then all of a sudden the Huskies just wanted to put some stuff. We ended up winning by like 7 or 8, something like that. But Huskies did cover. The Kentucky has been a cover machine this year up till up till this game. But we get to play Ole Miss next week, and we'll see how we do against an SEC opponent.
And Ole Miss, they did not cover, right, against Tulsa?
Right, Tulsa.
Right, they only won by 7. That was one of my plays, Tulsa plus 21. But, Tulsa, Ole Miss is one of the best defenses in the country. So that'll be an interesting game. They didn't look that good against Tulsa, but Tulsa has a really good, sophisticated passing attack. Mm-hmm. So maybe that kind of stumped them, but that'll be a good game. I was looking at the over in that Huskies Kentucky. Didn't make my card, but not sure what the final score was on that. Do you remember the final score?
31-23, I want to say.
23, so 54, and I think that would have pushed it over. I think the over-under was around 51-52 for that game. Nice. But, yeah, the Huskies are run-first team. They don't, run.
Yeah. Well, before we lose any more of our listeners, we should probably stay on task.
Yeah. And I'm going to pop out. I've got to do another hit on a thing. I'll be back to close it out. You guys going to 10:30?
That's the plan. If I can stretch it out that long,
I'll be back in about a half hour.
All right, brother. Appreciate it.
All right. You got it. Later.
See ya. Oh, so Chris, we meet again.
Yes.
Oh,
we do.
Man. So we covered Lovie coming back to Chicago. How do you think the reception will be of Lovie when he steps on the field?
He should get a really good reception, should he? Really? I mean, it was our head coach for 9 years, and he was the last coach to get us to a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. So for me, he's just got love from him, and I like him as a person anyway. And I think you're a bit hardly done how they got rid of him, but I understand that. Sometimes after a 9-year stretch, when people tune out when it's just the same voice speaking all the time. But I was a bit gutted how he got sort of how he lost his job. But no, I think generally he should get a really good response from the crowd. Hopefully, you know what I mean? Because I hate when people start doing players who have been really good for you or coaches, because They give these so much pleasure and also if you won a lot of games with the players and the coach as well. So I'm all into the sort of giving him a good reception, and then as soon as the game starts, friendliness is gone totally. So I'm hoping that people act in a decent way and give him a good clap and then we'll get on to the game.
I agree. I think Bears fans, a lot of Bears fans still, and I guess I agree with that too, that they said we should have never let Lovie go, but his tenures in other places after Chicago almost can help you make the argument that we did cut him at the right time. But I definitely think it'll be a warm welcome. I love Lovie with the beard. I know some people don't really like. I think Dan Aguirre says he hates it, but I just love it. I like the way it looks. It makes him look, I don't know, manly, I guess.
Is this what you try to tell? Is this why you have your beard, AC, for the manliness?
Hey, my wife tells me I look like a little boy if I shave my beard. So
I must admit, when I saw some pictures of you when he was still in the army, I was like, fucking hell, man, AC, he looks about 10 without the beard.
yeah. Definitely got the baby face under this thing. But yeah, so I think Lovie will have a good welcome. And of course that'll wear off quickly when we get between those lines. I wonder how, because if there was a Bears game I'd want to go to this year, this would be the one. Because right. I feel like
they're gonna win.
Right, and B, the return of Lovie. Both these teams are similar. Both are rebuilding. I definitely think, like you said earlier, it comes down to which quarter, or I think Tooch said it maybe too. Yeah. Which quarterback makes the plays to really win the game? Do you trust Davis Mills, or are you gonna trust your first round quarterback here in Chicago to get the job done? and hopefully, and they've always said this about Justin is he doesn't make a ton of mistakes over and over again. Like he'll make the mistake and then watch the tape, get the coaching, and fix it. So we'll see if that happens this week, because a lot of people that watched the All-22 said we had guys open and he had time. He just wouldn't pull the trigger. So we'll have to hope that got coached out of him some.
I mean, I think as well, though, sorry, I keep cutting you off today, AC. I really apologise, mate. I'm being very rude. It's just like when you said in the past, once you get a thought in your head, if I don't say it now, I'll completely forget it in 2 seconds, which Absolutely. I've done now. No, I haven't. But like, I think as well, the problem we have in the NFL these days is that we expect instant success. I mean, when I was a kid, growing up, you had like people like Steve Young who were sat behind Joe Montana for about 3 or 4 years. And, that just doesn't seem to happen in the NFL now. Everybody expects a kid to come from college and then be able to fit into the pros and succeed. And I think there's quite a big jump, from the NFL, from college to the NFL. And, I just don't think, because players just don't seem to have that time to develop. Because when you look at how many starts some of these players have, during college, you're talking like less than 30, 40 starts, game experience. So I think, it's a shame that people, players don't get a chance to sort of bed in and learn. But then again, I can also understand that, you're there to win and, and that's your job. So, yeah, I suppose it's like swings and roundabouts a bit, really.
Yeah, I agree completely. The way it used to be, even Aaron Rodgers, he sat behind Favre, which, I mean, say what you will about what he's done off the field lately. He's a Hall of Famer, so he got to learn behind a Hall of Famer and learn how to be a professional and learn the system before he was thrust into play. But part of this has to do with salary cap, which these quarterbacks are getting paid $40-50 million a year now. So you have to see in their rookie contract if they are worth that extension, because if you don't give it to them, there's just not 32 great quarterbacks in this league. Yeah. If you give it to them, they're going to go somewhere else and someone's going to give it to them. Shout out to you, Baltimore Ravens. Pay your quarterback who's won an MVP, took you to the playoffs. Now, he might have turned into Vince Young in the playoffs, but you got to pay that guy whatever the hell he's asking. And that's a weird situation because they have the money to do it. They just, I don't know.
I mean, I don't know if that's down to him representing himself again, a bit like Roquan Smith. I don't know if that's affected their, them trying to get an agreement, get him a new contract. But, I mean, you can't really ask much more, can you, from Lamar Jackson? I mean, he's never let the team down. He's an astounding athlete. He's been an MVP of the league. He's got them into the playoffs. And they have a great coach as well. I always like their coach as well at Ravens. He always seems to be like a really good, steady guy that, he doesn't seem to be all over the place with how he coaches and manages the team. So, I mean, I'm quite surprised I haven't got it done, unless he's just saying, fuck it, I'll play for the contract next year, and bet on himself a bit like Roquan Smith is doing. It's a very strange situation, especially like you just mentioned that, they've actually got the money to actually do it. It's very weird.
Well, it's also weird. Lamar doesn't have an agent either. But I think his situation's different than Roquan's, where him and DeAndre Hopkins didn't have an agent. I'm trying to think of all the guys who didn't have agents and got contracts. It just depends on – they're in another tier. You know what I'm saying? They can make an argument of getting paid the most at their position, whereas I don't think Roquan really has that argument. But, we're getting off the topic. I want to touch on this because I'm seeing him in the chat. Don Burr, of course, Detroit versus everybody. Don, I got to tell you, man, I was telling Chris before we got on here, Josh Paschal coming to week 6. I love me some Josh Paschal. I was hoping he had a little something in Hard Knocks, but I don't remember seeing him or anything. I mean, that guy beat cancer in college and then goes on to be a draft pick, and he's I mean, I haven't seen much of him in the league yet, but he definitely could have been a Hard Knock story this year. But Don, I really like the way your team looks. I watched them last week against the Commanders. I was pulling for the Commanders because I want the Lions to lose. I'm sorry, but that's just the truth. But the way they built that team, the offensive line looks great. You got two really good running backs. You got weapons all around. You're keeping Jared Goff upright. The question is the defense going to continue to improve? And how's Jared Goff going to do in the cold? Because I know when he was on that Super Bowl team, they came into Chicago. Now, granted, we had everything except the quarterback at that point, it seemed. But he just looked like he didn't even want to be in the cold, and he plays in the NFC North. I'm sure you'll let me know your thoughts in the chat there, Don. But I definitely like the way the Lions look. They look like they might be a quarterback away. Now, will they be drafting high enough to get a quarterback? That'll be the question, because right now it's looking like Levis and C.J. Stroud are kind of separating themselves. Even former Heisman winner Bryce Young has kind of fallen a little bit. So we'll see how all that plays out in the draft. But I just wanted to touch on that before we continue.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel like Detroit are like a year ahead of us, because obviously they started their rebuild. Well, I mean, they're always in rebuild, aren't they, Detroit? They've been in rebuild since 1958, since the last win summit. But they are they do look like they're a year ahead. But yeah, I mean, I'm glad. I mean, I'm always glad that I'm not a Lions fan, because man, they've had it worse than us, and we've had it pretty tough over the last 30 years. So hats off to people who keep supporting them, man. Hats off to you.
Yeah. Hey, Don, I love me some Will Levis, man. I know he makes mistakes, and he's got issues where he tries to fit the ball in places where it shouldn't be fit, especially in the red zone. I think if he's put in the right scheme and he's coached up correctly, he can be a great player in the NFL. And he's a leader on the field and off the field. He's the consummate professional already. Like, I've met him in person a few times, and he's just seems like a great guy. Yeah. He just seems like a great guy. He doesn't get too far one way or the other. You know what I mean? We saw it with our quarterback this week. I didn't have an issue with what he said, but some people did, where he said, it hurts us more than it does the fans because we're putting in the work. I mean, did you have
what's wrong with that? I absolutely not, mate. That's what I want to hear from our quarterback. You know what I mean? That's the trouble these days. You don't have to say anything. It's like in the media today, but just seem to jump on every little word. And basically, that's all I wanted. I wanted to hear that he's scared, that he cares about the loss, and that he's pissed off, and that they want to try and turn it around. And I mean, I don't really understand what they expect him to say. They just, I don't want somebody who just, a bit like the trouble with Mitch, that he was a bit of a yes man, and when he got interviewed, it was very much that way, inclined. And I want somebody to speak their mind a bit and sort of be real, because that's what we want. That we can't judge the team if people are just sort of, blagging it, as we said over here. No, it didn't bother me at all, AC. More of that for me. I'm quite happy with it.
Yeah, it's I agree. When I saw it, and it blew up really because Barstool Sports shared it, and the guy Portnoy, he's a big Michigan fan, so he definitely threw out former Ohio State quarterback Justin Fields disrespecting the fans, which, I mean, I'm sitting on my couch eating wings and drinking beer. You know what I'm saying? So I can't argue that he's not putting in more work than me when he's in the film room, on the practice field. You know what I'm saying? I don't know why people had a problem with it. I just felt like we should bring it up because it's been a huge talking point for the Chicago Bears world.
Don't you think, Casey, that the Chicago Bears media overreacts and everything? And I don't know, like, this is the job of the media. It's not only to tell you the facts, but to sort of make a bit of a story out of it. But they seem to, a lot of the time, especially like the Bears media, they seem to try and get a story when there's nothing there. It's sort of like they're justifying their own jobs, the journalists are, because really, what he said wasn't bad. He wasn't having a go about the Bears fans. He was just telling it how it is and how he feels. You know what I mean? So I always take things with a pinch of salt because I didn't even know anything about this until yesterday. I was watching Hogan John's their Friday podcast, and I wasn't really aware of it, and I was quite shocked. I kept thinking, well, it's nothing, man. It's a story about nothing. So that's how I feel. Well, you all know how I feel about the media anyway. Fucking wankers. Not all of them, but some of them. And I think a lot of that were just people being wankers and justifying their own jobs.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
Piss off, you grotty little wanker!
So that's our that's how we feel about the media. And I listen. I mean, it must work because I listen a lot to 670.
I do.
Yeah, and all that stuff. But they're definitely way more negative than your average fan, and even I consider myself an eternal optimist. Even after the loss last week, like I said, I took a couple of days to reflect, and then I was like, well, we're in a rebuild. So I don't know why. I mean, I guess we got our hopes up after beating San Francisco, which it sucks. Trey Lance hurt himself last week, and he's out the rest of the year. But Jimmy G came in and looked like he didn't miss a step. They might push themselves right back into the NFC Championship again with that team. But having a win over them is nice.
Oh yeah, totally. But I mean, I think I just fell into the trap of, getting overexcited about that first win, really, because it was the 49ers. Because they were in the NFC Championship game last year. And I did get a bit carried away, so maybe I'm the wanker. I don't know, but it's just it was like waking up with a massive hangover watching that Packers game. Do you know what I mean? It was sort of, oh God, not the same again. No. But like you said, AC, it's in the past now. Let's see what happens today. I mean, I've got a feeling like this could be like a bit of a Fields breakout game. Like it could turn on fire. You know what I mean? But let's, I just want to win. I just want to see him, not make the same mistakes like we did last week.
Yeah. Well, Caesar's asking, where's the rest of the crew today? Jordan shot us a message early to him this morning that he wasn't going to be able to make it. He didn't get into specifics, so we're not sure. So that's where he's at. KB is on the road. He said he'd pop in if he had a chance, but I'm not sure exactly what. I think he's working or something. And I haven't heard anything from Bobby. I don't know if he took himself back up in the mountains and grabbed his monk robe and is almost hibernating or what's going on with Bobby. I haven't heard, but definitely shout out to those guys. We miss y'all this morning, and I'm sure we'll see you back next week.
But anyways, I'm just thinking, Caesar. Is myself and AC not good enough for you? Do we need it? Do we need other guys? Are we not fulfilling your Bears fandom this morning? We do try, brother.
I think he was just curious. When you hop in the show and you're used to seeing 5 faces here and you only see 2.
There's 2 of us.
It's
but I always. But when it does happen, AC, I think it's always your ploy, you see, to turn it into the AC show. I always keep thinking, he's like telling them wrong times and stuff like this. So it's just like it'll just end up just being yourself and nobody else.
Send them the wrong link.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, boys. Sorry, I didn't realise.
No, it'd be a pretty boring show with me here talking to myself.
I don't know, mate. I don't know. You do a good job, mate. I'm telling you, you do a good job having to talk to me anyway. So I think you could probably do an hour or so, mate. I know you.
I could maybe try and what's the word for bullshitting?
Blagging.
I could probably.
Or you could blag it.
Blag it.
Yeah, blag it, mate.
Yeah.
I reckon I could probably do about half an hour, 45 minutes, and then I know I'd just start repeating myself if I had to do something like this on my own. I know I would do. I'd
Yeah.
end up repeating myself, and then obviously going off on tangents like I do all the time anyway. So no, I've enjoyed today's show. Just having a chance to like talk a bit longer, and obviously I miss the guys because they're the guys, and they're a part of the show as well. But I do like it when it's just the CW and AC sort of little show. You have a bit more time to sort of talk and get opinions. So I quite enjoy it sometimes, AC. I'm not saying we should do it like this. We should be like this all the time because I do miss the guys. And that's why I wanted to be on the show, because of the fellas. But I do like it when it's just like a cozy sort of fireside chat when it's just the AC and CW show. You know what I mean? It's a little bit more cozy.
Yeah, it definitely helps to get a lot more of your thoughts out, how you felt about the game and what you feel is going to happen in this game. And when you have 5 people here all trying to get their points in, it's difficult to keep it on the time schedule, But
that's right, yeah.
I'll definitely be looking forward to them coming back next week. Hopefully after a Bears win, and we can talk about. I'm not even sure who we play next week. I haven't looked ahead in the schedule.
Is it the Giants?
I think you might be right. The undefeated New York Giants, who are playing the Cowboys.
Yes.
Yeah, they're playing the Cowboys today. That'll be
that should be a good game, That should be a good game.
Yeah, I was a little surprised by the Cowboys last week. They played the Bengals, and the Bengals look terrible. You talk about the Super Bowl hangover. They definitely look like they've gotten it.
I think their quarterback though. I think he's still getting over there because he had surgery in the off season, didn't he? And he just looks a bit sort of rough to me, a bit out of time with his receivers. But then again, people have had a year of defensive coaches around the league have had a year to watch him, and their number one wide receiver Chase. So maybe they're figuring him out a little bit compared to when they were playing last year.
Yeah, I wanted to touch on this real quick. I know this isn't great for radio, but I'm going to check out, see if Ian Rappaport has said anything on Twitter. I know the last I had heard was Roquan was going to play
right,
or are going to try and play. I haven't heard anything about Jalen Johnson.
I haven't.
So I'm just, if you can blag for a little bit, I'll try and find something here on the Twitter machine. No, Bakhtiari's finally coming back this week. The Packers left tackle. They could definitely use him because I know, like I said, early in the game, we were able to get home on Rodgers a few times before they figured out.
I have thought of something actually I wanted to bring up. Do you still think they're going to rotate Jenkins and Patrick, or do you reckon Patrick's hand is fit enough for him to start playing centre? Because I think Mustafa has been, for him, he's been playing well, but he did get, pushed back a lot last week. What are your thoughts on that, AC?
I think I want to see Tevin continue at right guard. And I think from what I can understand this week, Lucas Patrick's been in there snapping the ball all week, so I think he's good to go.
Oh, cool.
I don't like the rotation idea. I appreciate Mustafa for his efforts. I just don't think he's as good as what Lucas Patrick gives us at that position. Mm-hmm. Not only his experience, but his size and strength. I mean, Mustafa, we've seen him get hit and rolling like a swinging gate a few times, and you just can't have that directly in front of your quarterback.
Yeah.
I think he's a good backup. And Caesar took the word right out of our mouth. Are they going to stop rotating Tevin? I hope not. Yeah. I like seeing Tevin there at right guard. I feel like he gets a good push. We even said it here on the show, and I think Danny and Neil both said it on the Draft on Tap when we drafted him. He's big and strong, and they said right tackle, but he seems to have locked down that right guard spot. Larry Borum did struggle last week at right tackle.
Yeah, he did.
So that could be something to watch. I just don't like all the shuffling. We saw it with speaking of Lovie. I remember he always shuffled his offensive line. I mean, And it doesn't really help a team a front five to gel if they're in and out of the lineup, getting rotated, and I understood why they did it with Patrick. I think it was more for stamina reasons and getting calloused up to go back to what we talked to earlier. But now that he's good to go, I would like to see him lock down that center spot and keep Tevin at right guard. That's my opinion.
No, I completely agree, mate. I mean, I just like to see a bit more continuity on the offensive line, really, because that's the only way they're going to improve. He's having the best five guys, on there and then gelling. And, we're on into week 3, but I think Jenkins has played brilliantly. I really do. I think he's been one of our best offensive linemen, when he's been on the field. It's like you said, I just like his style as well, where he plays right to the whistle. He's got like a bit of nastiness to him. And I think he's really, really proved that. He's proved why we drafted him, really. I think he's really proved himself as a really valuable piece to that offensive line.
Yeah. So Ian Rappaport at Rapsheet on Twitter, his tweet says, #Bears All-Pro linebacker Roquan Smith, who missed practice time this week with a hip injury and is listed as questionable, is expected to play today, source said. That's the last thing I see, and that was from 7 hours ago. But we all know that his source is or could possibly be Roquan himself, because that's who I think leaked the contract talks and stuff. So I feel like if he's gonna play, Roquan's told him, "Yeah, I'm gonna play today and test it out." I haven't heard a thing about Jalen Johnson.
I haven't.
I'm hoping he can go because we definitely need him out. I mean, I don't see this team trying to pass the ball all over the field or anything like that, but I don't think Jalen's been targeted very much this season, which why would you when Kyler Gordon and Kendall Vildor give you everything that you need? But I definitely, like I said, I haven't heard anything about Jalen. I think he I think he at least tested out.
How have you what's been your impression then of the rookies so far, especially the defensive backs like Brisker?
I think Brisker's been fine.
Don't you wish he tackles a bit? He wraps up when he's tackling. It always seems to be, just the shoulder sort of hit from him. And I know, and a few sort of plays last week, he got completely out-footed, or if he'd have wrapped up, people would have got the guy down, and the guy bounced off him. So that's the only thing I've got to worry about Brisker. And then regarding the cornerback, I mean, he's playing like one of the hardest positions you can play, can't you? Like that sort of nickel cornerback. So I think he'll definitely improve, and I think it's just sort of rookie mistakes or just a lack of experience, really. I mean, you do got to remember like what Aaron Rodgers who will throw it against him, one of the all-time greats. Right. So I'm not too worried about the rookie so far. I think Braxton Jones has played really well. I mean, I know he got pushed back quite a bit a few times against 49ers, but I just hope he can keep improving.
Yeah, I think Braxton's been solid. The issue last week was Rashawn Gary was really getting the best of Larry Borum on their right side. I like Kyler Gordon. I liked the draft pick when we made it. I know a lot of people wanted a receiver, and after George Pickens' incredible catch on Thursday, we heard it even louder. But I think in the long run, they played the board and picked they would rather have the third or fourth best corner over the seventh or eighth best wide receiver out of the draft. And that's the way they played it. And there's no way we can argue that we didn't need help all over the field. Velus Jones, who fucking knows, dude? I haven't seen him since Seattle. We don't know anything about that guy.
What's he got? Has he got like an injury? Or I mean, it must be an injury if he's not being played at all.
I think it's a hamstring, something with his hammy.
Right.
So we'll get into this. I'm bringing my guy Tucci in real quick, and we'll try to wrap this thing up because we're running short on time. And so we'll bring back in Johnny Santucci. What's good, brother?
All right.
What's up?
I had to do another hit on another show. Sorry about that, fellas.
Hey,
I found out
he's a busy man on Sunday mornings.
Busy. I can use the virtual background if I'm not the host. It's like, if I'm not administrating one of the shows at Barroom, I can use the background. But otherwise, there's just too much video lag. But was on another show and did some wagering talk, of course. But man, are we going to give out picks, scores for this game?
Yeah, I think that's what we're going to get into. So if
all right,
go ahead.
Can I just ask Tooch a quick question?
Yeah.
Before gambling became legal, were you into gambling then, or did you have like a little bookie what you used to use? And because I know it's not been legal for that long, so I just wonder now how you got into it. Because did you have like a bit of a backdoor bookie you used to go and see and stuff like that?
No, you would think, but I'm the kind of guy with the kind of luck where like I'd go to like one of these backroom gambling places, end up in an alley, dead. so I mean, once it became legal, actually Joe Mandel from the Barroom was the one who kind of got me into it. So we started out just kind of doing fantasy football stuff with it, and then the Super Bowl, and I placed a bet on Gronkowski to score the first touchdown, and it was like it hit. And after that, I was hooked.
Right.
But when awesome. I did go to England, I was wagering on soccer matches with Barrelissimo. So I mean, I walk into
cool.
Place a bet with Barrelissimo, and he was telling me what to bet and stuff. When I was there. But I went to visit Barrelissimo in West Midlands.
Oh, right. Is that where it's from?
Yeah, Tamworth.
Oh yeah, Tamworth. Yeah, Tamworth. Yeah,
lovely town.
Yeah, very old. It's one of the oldest towns in the country. I think Tamworth is. It really is.
I think it is. Yep.
Yeah, but I've always wondered.
There's nothing in America that old.
the High Street just near me in Leeds is 800 years old. Brighton in Leeds is and we've got like one of the churches in the city centre that's over 1,000 years old. So we do have. That's one good thing about my country is that we do have continuous history. Everything's just goes in a line sort of thing. So we do like his history over in this country. I mean, I do anyway. You know what I mean? Because we're not quite the country we used to be. So we like to talk about things that happened about 200 years ago.
York Minster is like 700 or 800 years old. The tower, the tower in York. That's quite an amazing feat. It's like over 100 feet tall.
It's an amazing building. Yeah. Crazy.
Well, we got about 10 minutes, fellas. We got to get into these picks and shout
Let's
outs.
do it.
So if you want to start us off.
All right, man. I'm gonna take the Bears. Like I said, 16-13. It ain't gonna be a spectacular game. This is like caveman football. It's gonna be running the ball. Short passes. Hopefully they let Justin Fields take a shot or two downfield. I'd really like to see that, but not sure they're gonna let Justin cook today, AC. But give me the Bears. I think it's -2.5 right now at home. Looking to get right, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Texans hang around and if they get a last possession, maybe pull out either a backdoor cover or a win. I don't like the total either. I don't think there'll be a lot of points scoring, so I would stick to the under for this one. But give me the Bears as a winner, 16-13.
All right, so we got the Tooch with 16-13. Bears win. What about you, Chris? What are your thoughts? Give me an offensive. Did you give me an offensive defensive MVP, Tooch?
Oh, no, not yet. Yeah, I'm going to go offensive MVP, David Montgomery. I think he's going to have a big day today. Like I said, the Texans are one of the worst teams against the run. If we want to do something, we've got to get that man rolling. I'm going to take David Montgomery to be the offensive MVP, and I played David Montgomery over 69.5 yards rushing. I think that's a pretty good bet. And then defensive MVP, let's go with Robert Quinn. A couple sacks. Keep Davis Mills on his back.
Hey, that sounds like a solid pick, man. You took the layup there for the offensive MVP.
Yep. Chalk plays.
What about you, Chris? Give me a score prediction, bold prediction if you got one. Offensive, defensive MVP.
Yeah, my prediction is 21-14, the Bears. And I've actually realised that I think I picked that scoreline for the last 2 games. But I think it's going to be a close game. I think it's going to play out like a lot like Tooch said. It's going to be caveman football, and I think it's whoever's quarterback makes that play, then that'll push that team over the edge to win it. My offensive defensive players are exactly the same as Tooch. So, I think David Montgomery, this could be a massive game for him. I think, I'm hoping he's going to get 100-plus yards. And I just want to see Robert Quinn just start getting to that quarterback, man, and start getting his sacks total up. And I think with them two playing at a high level, I think that's going to be a Bears victory.
I like it. I couldn't agree more with that. I think Bears win. I looked at last year when Eberflus was with the Colts, they played the Texans twice and gave up a total of 3 points. So I think that the Bears win. I'm going to say 24-6. Bears win. I think it's a big win. I think our defense shows up. I think they're pissed off about the way that the performance they put on tape last week. And I think they've learned some things about how to have the correct angle, defensively and setting that edge. Offensive MVP, since you both took Monty, I'm going to go with Equanimous St. Brown. I think the Texans will make a concerted effort to shut down Mooney, whose jersey I am wearing today. So I love Mooney, but I think that'll be their focal point. And I think Equanimous St. Brown kind of does what he's done for us thus far, kind of getting behind the defense and finding those little creases. He knows this offense better than anyone else on the field, really. So I think EQ's in for a big game, and a big game for him could be, 60 yards and a touchdown. You know what I'm saying? I just don't see it. I don't see a ton of yards, which might not add up with my point total, but that's neither here nor there. And then defensively, you guys both took Quinn. I think he has a damn good game too, but I'm going to go with a young guy, Dominic Robinson, coming off.
That was my second choice, bro. I was like, I wanted to take one of those two guys, but I
really think that the Texans struggle up front. If we can shut down their run game and force Davis Mills to try and beat us, I think that will pay dividends for our pass rush on both edges. I think both those picks are good picks. And I'd love to see Dominic Robinson continue to ascend as the great player that he can be. Those are my picks. You guys got any shout outs or anything like that? I'll start with you, Chris. Any shout outs.
Okay. My shout is obviously to you guys. Tooch, I love you, man. Always love you, mate. And you're always getting me thinking. I mean, I'm not a gambling person myself, but I always like to hear about it, and so because it gives me a bit of an idea, which way the game might go. And obviously to my main man, AC, the man with the ever growing beard. I love you, man. This has been the best part of my birthday so far. He's doing this year. Nice. And also shout to people. In the chat. And let's just get a Bears victory, man. I think this is a very important game because this is a team what we need to beat, or we should be beating, really. Yeah. That's my shout outs, and everybody have a good week and take care of yourselves and be good to each other.
Nice. Is it today your birthday?
Yeah. We talked about it.
I am
okay. Nice. Happy birthday.
I'm 49 today. Cheers, mate. I'm 49, so it's nice. One of them birthdays where nobody ever goes to you. Hey, good, happy 49th birthday. It's definitely one of them birthdays what you try and forget and put away until next year. So thank you very much, Tooch. I appreciate it, mate.
All right. Yeah. Shout outs for me, man. All the Barflies, always, for all the support. And happy birthday, Chris, of course. And AC for doing a great job hosting. Sorry about I had to come in and come out. I wish I could have been here the whole show. I didn't know you guys were so short-handed. But also want to say let's go Bears. And I think that people are thinking this is a big test for Justin Fields. To me, it's more of a test for the coaching staff. How do they adjust? Are they going to be able to make adjustments from last week. Get this offense rolling a little bit more. Stop getting gashed on the run. Like I saw some of the chat, I forget who it was, said we gotta stick to our fits, man. We gotta get our run fits sorted out because Lovie likes to pound the ball, and Damian Pierce is one of the best at breaking tackles. So we have got to tackle. We've got to stop the run in order to win this game. That's all I got to say. AC.
All right, yeah. I'll definitely shout out to all the Barflies in the chat, man. You guys are killing it today. Adeptus Serpentus, he came on and said Jalen Johnson's been spotted at pregame. Thanks for throwing that up there, Tooch, because that was something we were all worried about or wasn't sure about. So it sounds like we're going to be at full strength, mostly full strength. I don't know about Velas Jones, but I don't know if you can really count him in or out if you haven't seen him yet this year. Shout out to Chris. Happy birthday, brother, again, for sure. I hope the Bears can bring you a dub on your birthday, man. Just try not to party too hard because you'll regret it in the morning. So
I always party too. Just keep. All you got to do is when you party hard, just keep partying. Just keep it going.
Can't get hungover if you don't stop drinking, right?
You don't stop drinking, you get hungover.
Yeah. Shout out to Tooch for coming on here and helping me run this thing, man. I really appreciate it. I know you had to hop in and out, and you're a very busy man on Sunday mornings with all the spots you got going on. So I appreciate you giving us a little bit of your time this morning.
No problem. Love it. I love hanging out here.
And hopping in with us. Shout out to Bobby, wherever you're at, if you're listening or if you're out on a mountaintop, like I said, getting your monk on this morning. I don't really know what's going on. I know he's a busy guy too. The Marines have just got him running all over the country and doing this and that. So I don't want to get into specifics, but that's probably where he's at. He's probably on a plane right now somewhere. But so shout out to Bobby. Shout out to my man KB. I think he's working this morning, saving the world one fire at a time. Shout out to my guy Jordan. He's probably still asleep right now. I don't know what he's got going on, but definitely shout out to those guys. We'll definitely try and see them back next week. And stay tuned after this show. If you guys are fantasy football guys, you'll have the Goon Show coming on here and telling you about who to sit, who to start, who's inactive, who's, you know what I'm saying, give you your last second updates on all that stuff. I think Mike had a show this morning telling us some betting stuff. Were you on that, Tooch, or no?
I couldn't make it. I had like a lot of stuff to do this morning. I wanted to go on there, or at least I usually just hang out in the back and help Aldo with producing the show. But I missed it. Did you catch what his picks were?
I didn't catch any of it, honestly.
Okay.
I was getting updates from the guys who's going to be here, trying to set all this stuff up, and I didn't catch it. But you can always go back if you want. Got some time before 1 o'clock. Check that show out.
I was working on my card. I have clients. I had to get my picks settled and straight. So, we had a winning Sunday.
For sure. So a busy Sunday. And then, of course, we'll be right back here at halftime with the Bears football show to break down the first half. And then after the game, my man, Brother Gaines, I don't know if I've seen him in the chat this morning or not, but he's usually here. Gaines and Buffon, and I think they added Danny to the show. So they'll come in and they'll come in and break down what they saw, what's going right, what's going wrong with the Bears, and that's definitely a great show. I usually go back and listen on Spotify the next day to try and help me see what they saw, maybe because I don't have I have a pretty good eye for football, but I don't have a scouter's eye. You know what I'm saying? My heart gets into it sometimes, and I can't make excellent decisions. That's also what probably hurts me in the betting world, because sometimes I bet with my heart and not my head. I mean, I had the Bears to cover last week, and if they'd have scored that touchdown, they would have. But
I know. I felt so bad after I came on last show, and I'm like, I don't know, boys.
You just told it like it was, man.
I cashed the ticket. I took the money, but I'm not gonna lie, it didn't feel good.
Right, take the money and dry your tears with them, huh? But
show me the money. Show me the money.
But we'll get out of here, and we'll come back next week and break down all the action from this game, and and look ahead to no Jalen
I
Johnson
don't
today.
know. I thought Adeptus said he's been on the field, but Nomad says he's out, huh?
Maybe he tweaked something more. Maybe they sent him out there for warm-ups and he just couldn't do it. I don't know what's going on with Jalen. That kind of sucks, man. That kind of hurts. But it'll be another game for Kyler Gordon to have to step up and show that he was the correct pick. I think it hurts him really learning two positions because they play him at the nickel and on the outside. I really wish they just let him run one of those positions instead of both of them, especially at such a young age.
They got, I don't know, I'm looking on NFL injury. It says Ryan Griffin out, Matthew Adams out, Dane Cruikshank out. So the Bears are thin at linebacker. I mean, I know Roquan's going to play, but I don't know. Ryan Griffin at tight end.
We'll be able to see the preseason darling Jack Sanborn out there, see if he can do something. And
good spot for Cole Kmet with Ryan Griffin out. He'll probably be on the field a lot more. So looking at some Cole Kmet, I think Cole Kmet over 2.5 catches today was the prop. If you get 3 catches, man, it's not a bad bet.
Yeah, we'll see if they look his way, man. If he drops the ball, they might not look back at him. We don't know. But we'll head out of here and let the goon take over. Y'all have a good weekend, brother.
Adios.